So some big new developments in the whole James Gunn story and situation, with the news that Warner Brothers and DC have signed him on to write Suicide Squad 2 and maybe possibly even direct it. Now for those of you who don't know the James Gunn storyline, basically what's been going on is he was the writer-director for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 over at Marvel, and basically after some inappropriate tweets from about 10 years ago were discovered, Disney decided the best option was to sack him from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Following this, a lot of the cast members of Guardians and a lot of fans pleaded to Disney to give him a second chance, bring him back on board. Disney were having none of it and they kept to their guns and said, we're not going to rehire him for the third Guardians movie. And now along comes Warner Brothers and DC to sign him on for Suicide Squad 2, which is very interesting because in this day and age we're hearing a lot of these stories about accusations and proof of inappropriate behaviour or inappropriate things they've said or actions they've done in the past. What usually happens is, studios tend to avoid that person. They stand clear and just move away from them and distance themselves from them. They don't go chasing after them. So Warner Brothers going after James Gunn, I think is a bold move, but at the same time, they've looked around and seen that the general consensus from the general public, from fans, from even the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy has been very supportive in favour of Gunn. So I think they've realised we can bring this guy on board and we're not going to get any kind of public backlash from it. Now what this does do, I think, is increase the interest in Suicide Squad 2, because the previous film, while it was more or less a success at the box office, it didn't review well with critics and the general opinion of people who went and saw it was fairly negative. So I kind of feel like, apart from maybe certain characters like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, I think the interest from fans has not really been that high for Suicide Squad 2. They're interested in seeing those individual characters in other movies and whatnot, but as for Suicide Squad as a whole, I don't think there was a huge amount of interest or anticipation for that movie. And so I think bringing someone like James Gunn on board is a really good move for them in terms of bringing in more interest. It's something that's going to make headlines and it's going to be a big deal, but also you've got people who are a fan of this guy's work. And he's proven himself as being able to do a story about a misfit kind of team. So while Suicide Squad is obviously much darker than Guardians of the Galaxy, it's the same kind of team dynamic that James Gunn has already kind of shown himself to have experience in with Guardians of the Galaxy. Now one thing that's quite interesting as well about this is Dave Bautista. Now he was obviously a main cast member of the previous two Guardians films and would have been on board for the third one, but his loyalty is throughout this whole thing has clearly been with James Gunn rather than with Disney. He's always been someone who has strongly supported and pushed for Disney to reinstate Gunn as director for Guardians 3, and he's often been saying how after the way James Gunn has been treated here, he's not sure he wants to be in another Disney/Marvel film. And interestingly enough, he puts out a post on social media today saying, where do I sign up to, in reaction to this news about James Gunn signing on for Suicide Squad 2. So could that happen? I mean, I think DC would definitely want that. DC and Warners would definitely be interested in that idea, and there's a ton of DC characters and supervillains he could play for Suicide Squad 2, so I think if the offer's there from Dave Bautista and he's interested, sign him on. Now the big question is, will Marvel be too worried about this? I don't know. I think Suicide Squad as a franchise comes with some baggage because the previous movie was not well received. Bringing James Gunn on board definitely helps relieve some of that baggage and makes people probably a bit more optimistic than they would have been and a bit more interested in the film. I think Disney and Marvel won't be too worried about this, being able to beat their films, but I think what they will be worried about is the future of Guardians. I don't know that if the fans are against the way James Gunn has been treated, then if they do ever make a Guardians 3 without Gunn, will fans support it? That's the big question. I think that's what Marvel and Disney will be worried about. So leave your comments down below. Do you think James Gunn will make a great Suicide Squad movie? Is it a good move by Warner Bros. And DC? What do you think? Let us know down below. But until next time guys, we will see you then.